What's going on, guys? Melon back again, and this is going to be a little bit different of a video. I'm going to share with you guys my top 10 Yu-Gi-Oh cards over the past 5 years. Now, before I begin, I want to just say that this is my personal list, and so don't worry if one of your favorite cards doesn't make it. You know, this is all my personal opinion. And so I have a couple of criteria I'm going to use to sort of judge these cards. I'm not just looking at whether it's meta relevant, for example, or not. I'm a collector, and so I really care about how collectible it is. And so the things I'm looking at are really the aesthetics of the card. So, you know, let's face it, how cool a card looks matters to how collectible it is. And so I'm going to consider the artwork and the rarity. And then the second thing is the significance of the card. Is it important to the TCG, the show, or the community as a whole? The third thing is the likelihood of seeing a higher rarity printing in the future. The reality is a card printing is not iconic, or it's not collectible if you expect that there's going to be a better version in the future, right? And then the last thing I'm looking at is sort of the value that the card brings at its current price. You know, an $800 card has to be a lot cooler than a $10 card for it to be ranked higher on this list. And so if you're a fan of the art, the meta, or you just love collecting, I think this will have a little something for everyone. And before I begin, I just want to say thank you for all the recent support. This is a new channel, so check to see if you're subscribed. It's possible that you were subscribed to my old channel and not subscribed to this one. So I release one video per month on Yu-Gi-Oh collecting, and subscribing is the best way to make sure that you catch the video. So without further ado, let's begin. Starting things off at number 10, we have Crystal Clearwing Synchro Dragon Ghost Rare out of Legendary Duelist Synchro Storm. Right now, this card has a market price of around $30, and I think this is one of the coolest modern Ghost Rares. And I think Ghost Rare is one of the coolest rarities. People say, you know, modern Ghost Rares don't hit as hard as the ones in, let's say, the 5D's era, but I think that this card pops really nicely, has a very cool artwork, and I like it a lot because it's not just a reprint. You know, you think about something like Ghost from the Past, and all of those Ghost Rares are just reprint cards. I think this is really cool because it hasn't had a reprint, and so I think it's just a beautiful artwork. The Ghost Rare makes it pop. It has that 3D look, the ethereal appearance that Ghost Rares bring to the table. And realistically, when I look at any collection, the first thing I look at are the Ghost Rares. I think they just stand out above all other cards for a good reason. And at $30, I think that you really can't go wrong. Now, this hasn't been the most meta-relevant card, but I do think that it has seen some play, and it's currently seeing some play at the time of me making this video. So we'll see where that ends up, but at $30, you really can't go wrong, and I don't think that this has sort of a chance to see a higher rarity printing or one that dethrones this one. So I think this is a beautiful copy of a beautiful card, and I love having this start out our list at number 10. At number 9, we have Dark Magician, the Knight of Dragon Magic, out of Battles of Legend Monstrous Revenge. Right now, this is only about a $20 card. And so I'll explain why I think this is such a cool card, despite the fact that I think the community doesn't really consider it to be sort of a top card. So, as a quarter-century secret rare, this card celebrates, 25 years of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it combines two iconic monsters. It has Dark Magician on top of Curse of Dragon, which is very, very cool in my opinion. It's got that nice 25th anniversary stamp you can see down below. The card that I want to compare it to is Dragon Master Magia, which is essentially a Blue Eyes card with, I think, Knight or Magician of Black Magic, something like that on top of it. So I will say that it is not as cool as Dragon Master Magia, but the important thing is my fourth criteria was the value that the card brings. This is a $20 card, that is an $800 card, and I really do not think that that card is 40 times as cool as this one. I think this card is really a bargain at $20. It's just super cool, and I think you get so much more bang for your buck than Dragon Master Magia. Additionally, it's a cool collector's piece that I don't think is going to get a higher rarity printing in the future, and so I like it a lot as a card. And so I think it's great to pick up, high value, and it's great for longtime fans of the series and newer collectors alike. At number 8, we have Arcana Triumph Joker out of King's Court. This is a $20 card, and I just love the artwork of this card. I love the collector rare. It's overall just one of the best aesthetics of any of the modern cards. So we'll take a look at this thing. I really like how it has that portrait style artwork, which is reminiscent of some of the more vintage cards. You think of Summon Skull's original artwork, something like that. And the texture on this card just makes it pop so nicely. It's really visually captivating to just see those reflections and how it has that nice radial pattern that comes out of the portrait. Just a really, really cool card that combines sort of this Yugi archetype and the Arcana Knight cards. It was never super meta relevant in any context, but just as a collector's piece, I think this card looks just absolutely stunning, and it is a Yugi card, and it's only $20, so I just think that it's a really fun card. Now, in the game's history, Toon Chaos was a very successful set that premiered the collector rare and was a world premiere set. This was the follow-up to Toon Chaos in King's Court, and to me, this is the coolest card from King's Court. And so collector rares, while they have taken a bit of a hit, especially since Rarity Collection and the introduction of the Prismatic collector rare, and also 4 years of collector rares, I think has, taken a toll on some people's enjoyment of them. I think that, nevertheless, Arcana Triumph Joker really is just this visually stunning masterpiece, and a personal favorite of mine. At number 7, we have Yata Starlight Rare out of Battles of Legend Crystal Revenge, one of the last sets to have Starlight Rares, and just overall, I love Yata. I love Chaos Emperor Dragon, and for those who don't remember, this is an iconic card that sort of helped form the ban list, and that infamous Yata lock combo, for which Yata is the first part of that, is just a piece of history that can't be forgotten. Now it's back and it has this Starlight Rare treatment, which gives the bird a little bit more of this shiny, dazzling appearance when compared to the original Secret Rare out of Legacy of Darkness, I think. And at $58, it's a little more pricey than some of the previous cards we've gone over, but it's harder to pick up. And I would also be very surprised if it gets another high rarity modern printing, although who knows what happens with Quarter Century Bonanza. And most of these Starlight Rares, or a lot of them that were these vintage reprints, have had Quarter Century Secret Rare printings that have made it a little bit less desirable. You think about Exodia, Trishula, Stardust, Black Rose, they keep doing it. But Yata hasn't gotten that Quarter Century Secret Rare printing, and so this is kind of the only way to get a super shiny version of Yata, and I just think it looks incredible. Haven't taken it out of the sleeve yet, but you can see the shine even inside of the sleeve. It's just really, really a beautiful card. I don't anticipate there's going to be a Quarter Century Secret Rare Yata. I don't think it would make sense, but I guess with Konami, you never know. Nevertheless, still a beautiful card, and that's why it comes in at number 7. So at number 6, we have a card that is going to be the most expensive one on the list so far, and that is Toon Blackluster Soldier out of Toon Chaos. I already mentioned Toon Chaos, beautiful card. This is the first edition printing, and it currently has a market price of around $120. Now, this card brings together two fan favorite archetypes in Toons and Blackluster Soldier, so that already has a lot going for it. Now, some personal story is that when I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! Collecting, this was right after the onset of the pandemic, and at the time I was in my last semester of undergraduate, so I was stuck at home without a whole lot to really look forward to. And Toon Chaos was the first set that I really looked forward to, and it was just a great set when it came out. It was just one of the best sets, probably my favorite modern set, certainly of the past 5 years. And it's the set that introduced collector rares, and you can see that this is a collector rare, which is personally one of my favorite rarities, definitely my favorite of the modern rarities. And in collector's rare, this card's, it just has a beautiful texture on it, that nice gleam, kind of looks where the artwork stands out from the background. I really like how that actually goes down, and you can see sort of the circular pattern on the stars. It all just comes together really, really nicely, and I like how it represents sort of this fun, nostalgic Toon archetype. Now, as I said, at $120, it's on the pricier side, but for Toon collectors, it really is a must-have, and I don't, again, think that there's going to be a higher rarity printing of this card, so I genuinely love Toon Toon Blackluster Soldier. For number 5, you're probably wondering, why am I holding 4 cards? Well, you might have been able to guess it. We've got Magicians of Bonds and Unity, the full set, so you can see that we start off with a green background, yellow background, orange background, and then we finish it off with the Phantom Nightwear release with a red background, which is my personal favorite of all the Magicians of Bonds and Unity. So this celebrates really the quarter century, the 25th anniversary of Yu-Gi-Oh! Beautiful, beautiful card with an effect that really has no use in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! So it is just a collector's card. And I think that's pretty cool. I do think it's a bit of a shame that they didn't have one with a blue or a purple back, just because, you know, red, yellow, and orange are kind of pretty similar colors, even green. You know, overall, I would have liked a blue or a purple in there, but that's not really the biggest deal. And I think they're a lot of fun, and I encourage Konami to keep doing stuff like this, putting cards in modern sets that are specifically for collectors. I think that's really nice. And, you know, it just genuinely is a really nice new introduction to modern high rarity cards. I'm not against reprints, but I do like when they don't just reprint Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl for the 20th time and put out something new for collectors like myself to go after. Now, it just looks stunning in the quarter century secret rare. Beautiful, beautiful card overall. And it holds some sentimental value for fans of the original series. It has kind of a Dark Magician Girl looking card and a Dark Magician on it. So it's a really cool card overall, and it prices out between $60 to $80 depending on the card. Duelist Nexus version, which is the first one, is a little bit more expensive than the other ones, but overall I think it's a fun set to collect and definitely one of the best collector's items from the past 5 years. At number 4, we're getting down to one of the most iconic cards. We have Winged Dragon of Ra Ghost Rare out of Legendary Duelist Rage of Ra, and this card is currently around $125. So this card really is just a masterpiece, and let's take it out of the sleeve so you can see the Ghost Rare foiling. Obviously you will see some scratches on it because the print quality of Rage of Ra was terrible during the pandemic. It was just hard for them to actually print cards, and so I give them a little bit of a pass for the poor print quality here. But the 3D effect looks insane, and this was the return of the Ghost Rare after 5 years to Yu-Gi-Oh! Because the last Ghost Rare in a core set was Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend in 2015, and so it was nice to see them return to arguably the best rarity. And I think that, you know, Winged Dragon of Ra has its place in Yu-Gi-Oh! History, one of the most iconic cards from the show, and it was great to bring back such an iconic card in Ghost Rare. Now, I do wish that they did print Slifer and Obelisk in Ghost Rare, and I think eventually they'll get to it, but Konami has a history of like releasing one card and then just not releasing the remainder of the set, and then like 5 years later they're like, oh yeah, we should probably release the remaining cards. So I expect eventually they'll get to it, but I'm surprised they haven't gotten to it yet, because I think it would make them a lot of money. And if there's some Konami employee watching this, good idea. You should just release the Slifer and Obelisk. Collectors like myself really want those cards. So when those cards come out, I think this will be even cooler. I don't imagine that any other printing will really affect this one all that much. So this comes in at number 4, and this is actually a copy that I pulled myself. So I just love Winged Dragon of Ra. Ghost Rare version, you can't really go wrong. At number 3, you're probably wondering, this isn't a card in a Karibo sleeve, but this is going to be the only promo on this list, and it's still sealed. It is United We Stand with the blue name up top, the only time that Konami has ever done that in the TCG, and the Prismatic Secret Rare. Beautiful, beautiful rarity, and unique to this card and the other stay-at-home promos. So this was released in 2020, sort of at the height of the pandemic, and it currently has a market price, you know, it's hard to place it, but around $300. And you know, I think that you can't really talk about the last 5 years without mentioning COVID. No one loved lockdowns. I hated them. It was a terrible experience. But the reality is that many people got into collecting during lockdowns, myself included. And this was a very limited release at a time when they didn't even have prize cards because there weren't any events going and so it was supposed to be limited to around 1,000 copies, but what people have said, now this is not something that has been verified by Konami themselves, is that when it was first released in North America, there were supposed to be, I think, like 300 copies in North America, but there were only like 150 entries because no one even knew about the promotion, and so that would decrease the total number released by around 150, and so you get somewhere between 800 to 900 copies in circulation, which is the lowest of any of the stay-at-home promos, according to that theory. Now, I just think that United We Stand is such a great message during the lockdowns, and also it's the first release, so I think it's the most iconic. I think despite the huge price of $300, I think that it's still worth it, because it's, you know, a really cool addition to any high-end collection, and I think it's an important piece of Yu-Gi-Oh history, and so I think it's might be the most special card on this list. So let me know what you guys think. At number 2, we have a card that was released not too long ago. We have Dark Hole Dragon in Quarter Century Secret Rare out of Age of Overlord, and this card comes in at around $17. So this is another card that's QCR, and so it commemorates the 25th anniversary. Really, my love for this card is just the fact that it looks absolutely insane. Like, this is just one of the most beautiful cards ever released, and I think the best looking of the QCRs. The card artwork is absolutely beautiful. It combines the iconic Dark Hole with dragons. That's a home run for me personally. And so I think that it has a similar aesthetic to 10,000 Dragon, which I have a mat of actually. But I think that it's just so much cheaper. And so it's a better value buy. I think that it looks insane. As I said, it doesn't really have any meta relevance, but that doesn't matter when it looks this cool. So that's why I have it as runner-up, and I think any Yu-Gi-Oh collector should buy it if they have the funds. We are on to the final card. What could it be? So taking the top spot on my list is one of my favorite cards of all time in a different form. It is the alternate art Cyber Dragon Ultimate Rare. Now, I have the original print Ultimate Rare. I actually have a PSA 10 of that. I have 3 copies raw. It's one of my favorite cards of all time. This is out of OTS Tournament Pack 16, and it has a market price of only around $45, which is part of the reason I have it at number 1. It gives the original version sort of this fresh, sleek design. Now, it was released in Duelist Pack Zane Truesdale as a rare, but it hasn't really had a high rarity printing until now. And I think that some of the modern Ultimate Rares just have terrible textures. As you can see, that is not the case. So I apologize for the glare, but just look at the waves on this card. I mean, this is just insane. You gotta wave check the actual texture. This is one of the best modern Ultimate Rares imaginable, on one of the best cards imaginable. A card that has a ton of history. I mean, I don't think I need to even go into how historic of a card Cyber Dragon was, and it pays homage to the original Ultimate Rare printing, just with this alternative art that still looks crazy. If you watch GX, I'm a GX kid, and so, you know, when Zane went kind of evil, this is the version that he would play. It's just such a cool card, and I think that this is one that you should really pick up. It's only $45, and I think it's a great value buy. And as I've gone on about, it's just such a cool looking card. So that's my list. Each of the cards I showed brings something to the table, you know, that's pretty unique, whether it's the art, the significance, or value. Let me know what you guys think and what your own top 10 lists, what your favorite is in the comments, and if there are any cards I missed that should have been on the list. So it's been your boy Watshomer Melon, and peace out.